Nagbabalik po ang programang Bawal ang Pikon, Get Straight with Daniel Rason. Kasama ko pa rin po ang dating kalihimang kagalang-galang Rafael Alunan, ang Co-Convenor po ng West Philippine Sea Coalition. At kanina bago po tayo nag-break, na itanong ko kay Secretary, meron po kasing tinatawag na, na National Security Council. Hindi po mukhang hindi nakukonvene ito, napakatagal na, lalong-lalo na po ng present administration. Ano po masasabi niyo, sir, doon?
Wala akong masasabi
Yes,
kasi hanggang ngayon nagtataka ako kung bakit iniiwasan.
How important is that council, at least as far as this issue is concerned?
Well, it's very important kasi we're talking about the national interest.
Yes, sir.
Kapag nasagasaan na yung national interest, you have to convene the National Security Council because you need the advice of many learned people. No? Kasi yung composition ng National Security Council includes other members of government.
Yes, sir.
No? Including the legislature, at kung maaari, pati yung judiciary, ano ha?
Yes, sir.
And also important members of society, including past presidents.
Yes, sir.
No? But I don't know, very hard to explain the attitude and behavior of the incumbent because everybody's saying dapat na convene noon pa. Now, as I understand it, there's a smaller committee that's headed by the executive secretary, parang ExCom.
Yes, sir.
No? That way, according to them, yung discussions are going to be managed properly in the unwieldy. But nonetheless, the very important people who are supposed to have been, for example, approached
Yes, sir.
to give their opinions have not been approached. Like, for example, President Ramos.
Napakagaling niya when it comes to national security.
When it comes to discussing the national interest, he's really in there, no?
Yes, sir.
And I had the occasion to be with President Erap a few months ago, and I asked him also a similar question kung he's being consulted. Ang sagot niya, hindi.
But sa palagay niyo ba? Yes, sir.
So, nakapagtataka kung
Kung
bakit,
bakit ayaw pa rin.
kung
Baka
ayaw pa rin.
because of politics.
Maybe that, maybe inferiority complex, I don't know.
Baka ayaw din na makomplicate ang bagay dahil baka madami isasuggest pagkatapos hindi rin naman susundin.
Well, nasa quality of leadership na yan.
Yes, sir.
A good leader will take on all opinions, process it, and make his own decisions.
Yes, sir.
No? Ganun yun.
And so therefore, parang lumalabas din, base sa sinabi nyo rin kanina po, have we really understood yung China by itself at saka yung kanilang sentimiento, at least doon sa issue na ito?
You know, even, I remember I held a forum on understanding China.
Yes, sir.
And the need for people-to-people relations,
Apo.
Notwithstanding the geopolitical problems. And in that forum that we held in AIM, nandun ang Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce, prominent Filipino-Chinese personalities, at tinanong ko sila,
Yes, sir.
are you being consulted?
Oh, may pressure ba sa kanila?
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Are you being consulted by
the government?
the government
Yes,
to
sir.
serve as bridges, no?
Yes, sir.
Or to at least understand the thinking of... Sabi niya, wala.
So walang consultation?
Wala rin consultation.
Pero hindi niyo ba naitanong kung wala naman silang pressure? Kasi siyempre kalimitan yung mga Chinese businessmen natin, may mga negosyo din sa China. Wala naman silang nararamdamang pressure.
Well, not all of them have.
Yes, sir.
No? Many of them have businesses here. And let's put it this way, they're Filipinos
Yes, sir.
who happen to have Chinese
Lineage,
blood, no?
yes,
or
sir. Apo.
lineage, no? But they're Filipinos. No? Now, there are also Filipinos who don't have any Chinese blood but are collaborators of China.
Yeah.
No? So, mabuti na sabihin natin yon, no?
Yes, sir.
Because there's always this default thinking
Apo.
na porket kalaban natin ng China, may suspicion na rin yung
Yes,
Filipino-Chinese.
sir.
Hindi ako conforme doon. In fact, yung mga kaibigan kong from the community
Yes, sir.
are complaining that there's an influx of people from the mainland.
Papunta sa Pilipinas.
Nandito na. No, nandito na. They're small traders.
Yes, sir.
In fact, they're now taking over Binondo. No, tinutulak nila yung Filipino-Chinese.
Bumabagsak din naman kasi po ang ekonomiya ng China, lalo na po ang kanilang stock market, bumagsak recently.
Pero when you receive nationals from a hostile country,
Yes, sir.
ang tanong mo diyan dapat why are they here?
Is that good for
what
us or is
purpose?
that bad for us?
Well, look at it before World War II. There were
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of Japanese here doing business, right? And then nung inatake na yung Pearl Harbor, yung mga nandito, nagsuot na ng uniforme ng Imperial
Imperial
Army.
Army.
Oo. So malay natin na ganito din ang ginagawa ng China sa atin. Kasi there's nothing original in what China is doing.
Mukhang nauulit lang yung history. Ano po?
Inuulit lang yung history,
Opo.
parang sinusundan lang nila yung playbook ng ng Japan
Yes,
at
sir.
ng Amerika, no? Kaya there are no surprises. You can actually second guess what China is going to do next.
Pero yung reclamation, mukhang nagulat tayo doon. Mukhang hindi yata tayo handa rin. Hindi natin na-predict na i-reclaim nila. Mukhang nangyari po yun, sir.
George,
Immediate. Yes, sir.
actually,
Matagal na ng plano.
matagal na naming iniisip
Nagagawin nila.
na gagawin yan.
Yes, sir.
Kasi mabilis din ang utak nila eh. Actually, pumasok na rin sa utak natin yun eh. Kaya mabagal lang tayo kumilos.
So sir, quickly lang po, hindi tamang sabihin na itong reclamation ito ay ginawa ng China immediately after our president had said, mga bato lang naman yan eh. Mga shoals, etc. lang naman. So ang ginawa ng China, ganon, bato lang. So pinalagyan nila ngayon ng reclamation.
No, nothing to do with, hindi nila pinapansin yung presidente
Yes,
natin.
sir.
May plano talaga yan. At the first thing that they had to do was set up that administrative unit in Hainan to govern yung territory nila daw sa
Yes, sir.
South China Sea. They had to establish that legal entity muna. And then from there, tinuloy na nila yung mga plano nila. No?
So ibig sabihin, sir,
Itong planong ito, itong
Apo.
ginagawa nilang mga
Reclamation
is really for the purpose of creating forward operating bases, no, to control the entire South China Sea. Kasi
Yes,
from there they can launch aircraft.
may pinapakita
Oo.
ngayon parang as in triangle na, halos triangle.
Oo.
They can launch everything there from there.
Correct.
Yes,
And then they can push their submarines forward. So then they can control a much larger area. Matagal na plano 'yon.
Yes, sir.
No? At it has nothing to do with what we've been saying.
Yes, sir.
no? I think what I'd like to say lang is that yung reclamation ng Pag-asa,
Yes, sir.
matagal na nating pinag-uusapan yan eh, openly, no? So what they're doing very near Pag-asa, sa Fiery Cross, sa Gaven Reef, etc., is no different from what we've thought of already
Yes,
before. Kaya lang, since mabagal tayo kumilos, naunahan tayo.
Pero nung panahon ni Marcos, tayo ay nag-occupy ng ilang mga malalaking isla pa diyan sa area na yan.
Yeah.
And hindi sila kumilos, hindi sila nag-react. Ano yun? Dahil sa respeto nila sa gobyerno natin at that time? Or just because hindi naniniwala sila that the proper time will come?
I'm not sure. I don't recall anymore whether kumilos sila o hindi
Yes,
when we took over. Because I don't think at that time they were in a position to do anything yet.
Because nandun pa sila sa economic building pa ng bansa.
Correct. Correct. Ano pa sila? They were still fixing their own internal
Yes, sir.
situation. At in the early 70s, they had just finished settling some of their differences with the US.
Yes, sir.
So they were building up. They were building up the relationship. Yun ang focus nila.
Yun. Yes, sir. Sa inyo pong palagay, kung saka-saka, napag-aralan nyo na rin po ba at na-discuss nyo na ba sa inyong grupo, na what if the International Tribunal will say, wala kami jurisdiction eh. What happens next? What will now be our position? Anong gagawin ng Pilipinas ngayon?
That will be a problem.
Yes, sir.
That will be a problem because then we would lose our moral high ground.
Okay.
No? We may file a motion for reconsideration.
Yes, sir.
Or we may bring it up to the United Nations, but I don't think we'll have enough options.
But on the contrary, kung sakali naman po, Secretary, na sabihin nila may jurisdiction kami, and then later on, after 1 year, magdesisyon talaga sila that may right, may exclusive right ang Pilipinas sa pinag-aawayan ito, paano ko yung China hindi naman sumunod doon sa decision ng tribunal?
China will not follow a decision that will go against its national interest.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've already said it. No? We're a big country or a small country.
Yes, sir.
You better accept it. Whether we're right or wrong is immaterial.
Correct. So yun talaga ang issue ng foreign policy. Yun ay it will always be the interest of the country that should prevail nung naging sponsor ng foreign policy na yan.
Yung attitude ng China sa atin is manigas kayo.
Yes, sir.
Manigas kayo. kesyo tama kayo umali, o kesyo tama kami umali, manigas kayo, mas malaki kami sa inyo.
Pero yung grupo nyo, nananawagan din po ng boycott ng Chinese products. Eh di ba
Yes.
parang ang labanan po dito, hindi lamang Goliath at saka si David, hindi po mukhang langgam at saka isang elepante talaga ito.
Well, it's not only us that we're asking to boycott. We're
Yes, sir.
asking the world to boycott. No? Kasi China is going to victimizing the world. Pag when you're threatening peace
Yes, sir.
and free trade flows,
Yes, sir.
you're affecting the global community. No? And if you're a bad boy and you're threatening regional or global peace and economic security, abay, the world should stand together and say, "Hoy, if you don't behave, we will do this." No?
Yes, sir.
So, for example, yung boycott na sinasabi natin, of course, we cannot boycott everything.
Correct. Pumunta ka lang sa Divisoria, nandiyan lahat ang
We cannot
China-made
boycott
products.
everything.
Yes,
But,
sir.
imagine, just look at the calculation.
Yes, sir.
If every Filipino decides to just say, okay, every month, 1,000 pesos worth ng aking ginagastos para pambili ng pagkain, ng damit, tsinelas, ganon, ay hindi ko bibilhin sa may tatak na made in China.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Doon ako sa made in India or made in Sri Lanka or made in Thailand, especially made in the Philippines. Ano?
Dapat yun ang priority.
Dapat yun.
Yes, sir.
Dapat mangunguna yung made in the Philippines. Ano? 1,000 pesos per month is 12,000 pesos per
Per
year.
year.
Times, sabihin mo na lang, 10 million Filipino
Yes, sir.
consumers.
Hindi na yung 100 million.
Ilan na yun? 12 billion na yan.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Kung 20 million Filipinos yan, ay di 24 billion. In fact, I might even be wrong with 1 zero. Baka 240 billion pa yan.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, that's 1,000 pesos a month.
Yes, sir.
Now, as we find better substitutes, we can say, okay, we can increase this now to 1,500 or 2,000
Yes, sir.
pesos a month na dito tayo bibili sa mga substitutes imbes sa made in China.
Yes, sir.
If that can escalate, and then later, consumer goods lang yan. Tapos may commercial goods
Paano
pa.
yung backlash naman ng China? Yun nga po, kinukompute natin in billions of pesos. Pag naman yung backlash ng China, baka naman in billions of dollars naman po yung impact sa atin dito.
Kasi that will be in dollars. You have to compute that in
Yes, sir.
dollars, no? Of course, may
May balik.
countermeasure, may
Yes, sir.
balik. But before you even do something as foolish as issuing a policy na from here on we will reduce our purchases of industrial goods and
Yes, sir.
commercial goods kasi that requires government policy already, no? Ay dapat we should find substitute markets for our products.
Ayun ang dapat.
Oh.
Yun
In other words, planuhin ng mabuti.
hindi yung kara-karaka o desisyon na ganyan tapos wala ka naman palang alternatibong market.
Hindi pwede bara-bara ang
Yes, sir.
trabaho. Kailangan well thought out strategy yan.
Pero sir, malapit na po ang 2016 elections. Nakikita niyo ba that China may at least exert influence on domestic politics para lang masigurado nila that the next president may at least
For
be
sure.
Friendly sa China?
For sure. For sure, the world powers will be exerting their influence in the 2016 elections.
At bigla ko lang balikan yung world powers at saka yung sabi nyo nga kanina, international community. Nagising na ba ang international community sa inyong palagay sa ginagawang pambubuli ng China sa Pilipinas at sa mga kalapit na bansa nito?
Yes, I think namulat na yung international community, but because of the economic interdependence
Yes, sir.
that has been developed through the decades, no, they want to make sure that they don't upset the apple cart.
Yes, sir.
Kaya't they're very careful about dealing with this issue
Yes, sir.
sa China because hindi lang basta-basta na pwede mong itulak ang China, no? Pag mali yung tulak mo, everybody will fall.
Tama, sir. Pero may problema rin tayo dahil mukhang yung mga regional groupings na inaasahan natin, lalo-lalo na ng ASEAN, mukhang hindi po ganun ka-effective para ipakita ang unity at the same time kinakailangan iisa ang boses as against China.
Well, ASEAN will take time. It's a different kind of animal altogether kasi
Yes, sir.
yung ating kultura sa ASEAN is consensus.
Yes, sir.
No, consensus building. Dapat 100% or nothing at all, no?
Yes, sir.
Mahirap 'yon.
Pero yung
So
ating
it will take time.
mga fishermen, mukhang unti-unti na po sila nawawala ng kabuhayan sapagkat hindi na po sila makapunta mismo sir doon sa area na dati nilang pinapangisdaan at pagkagaganda po pagka talaga namang napaka-fertile sa marine resources.
That's the reason why we brought China to court. Kasi ang napipinsala rito yung ating mga fishermen.
Yes, sir.
Nawawalan sila ng livelihood. Tapos nasisira yung marine environment natin. Signatory din ang China sa protection ng global environment, no? So the destruction of our marine environment on top of climate change and all
Yes,
that is going to contribute to more environmental woes, not just for the Philippines but for the region.
Since may kaso na tayo ngayon sa International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea, katanggap-tanggap pa ba kung mag-o-offer ng joint use, joint exploration ang China sa Pilipinas para dito sa West Philippine Sea?
Well, you know, the joint exploration, joint business
Venture,
in the future can be considered
Yes, sir.
once there's substantial recovery of trust and confidence in China.
Yes, sir. At doon sa ating modernization ngayon ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, do you think mas dapat po sa Navy talaga ang concentration natin?
Navy
sa
and Air
sea
Force.
power and air power?
Navy and Air Force,
Yes, sir.
and dito sa ground forces natin, on anti-aircraft defense and on long-range or cruise missile shore-to-ship.
Hindi ba sir masyado naman nating ma-divert yung napaka-importanting pondo natin at resources?
Kaya
doon
natin.
Yes, sir.
We have the money, it's just that being diverted for other purposes.
Ayun. So kung magko-concentrate lang talaga meron.
Kung walang corruption talaga, we will have enough money not only for our defense build-up,
Yes, sir.
but for basic delivery of services
Yes, sir.
and for human and ecological security.
When you say minimum defense capability, ano ba para palagay nyo ang whatever is the kind of capability na tapa sa ating bansa?
Well, based on rough calculations
Yes, sir.
on what the country will need out there at sea and in
Yes,
the
sir.
air, the amount of money that's been calculated
Yes, sir.
has been anywhere from $2 to $3 billion.
$2 to $3 billion.
So
Yes,
you're
sir.
talking of about 90 billion to about 130 billion.
Which is kayang-kaya naman natin. Kung
Which is
tutuusin.
kaya because the budget is 3 trillion.
May mga meron pang DAP na nakuha ng mga more or less 240 to 300 billion.
Yes, and there's a harebrained idea of giving a jihadist movement 500 plus billion in 5 to 7 years.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, you know, dapat ilagay natin sa tamang pag-iisip.
Pero hindi ba sir
Yung budget.
komplikado rin yung nangyayari sa ating pamahalaan, yung mismong posisyon ng ating administrasyon? Kasi nga po, may problema na tayo sa West Philippine Sea, which is actually a foreign power, may domestic problem tayo, which is actually yung kinakaharap natin ngayon, na peace talk with the MILF.
Yeah, well, we can handle both. For as long as we have an administration that's focused on good governance and proper national security management.
And by 2016, we will have a new administration. What do you think should be the position of the administration, at least as far as the West Philippine Sea issue? And what should be yung mga pagbabago, changes or adjustments that the new administration will have to undergo?
I think the next administration can continue what the present administration is really doing.
Yes, sir.
But in a more systematic and consistent manner. No? Yung modernization, ituloy.
Yes, sir.
But bigger budget.
Yes, sir.
No? Yung sinasabi nilang kung walang korap, walang mahirap, that should really be undertaken. Huwag lang yung sloganeering. That should actually be done.
Kinakailangan dapat na isagawa talaga yan.
Talagang isagawa yan.
Yes, sir.
No? Pero madugo yung proseso na yan, that's why you need political will
Yes, sir.
to do that. Yung BBL na yan, ay dapat i-junk yan.
Yes, sir.
Because to me, that's treasonous.
Itong West Philippine Sea issue is a national security threat. Pero hindi ba mas national security threat yung sarili natin kumpara doon sa issue ng China?
Well, you're correct, George. We are our own worst enemy. so yung countermeasure dyan is pagbabago.
Yes, sir. Ayun. At anong ina-expect mo? Mukhang meron pong mga rallies na gagawin ngayon sa harapan ng China at siguro, di ba sir, kinakailangan ang Pilipino dito united. Kinakailangan isang boses at ipakita natin ng suporta natin sa lahat ng inisyatibo na magpapakita na tayo ang may karapatan sa pinag-aawayan yan.
Actually, I'm very happy that more and more groups are voicing out their
Yes, sir.
protest against China in different locations, different times. But iisa lang yung message, ano?
Yes, sir.
China, stop it, get out of the West Philippine Sea, and return to peaceful rise. So, halimbawa, merong rally sa Friday of July 24,
24, yes, sir.
sa harapan ng Chinese consulate. That's on a Friday. And I think that group will be headed by Roy Goles.
Yes, sir.
I will be heading with other groups, another rally the following day.
Yes, sir.
Doon naman sa Rojas Boulevard, facing the West
The
Philippine
West Philippine
Sea.
Sea. Para
Oo.
ipakita nyo naman yung amin yan.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And then there will be other groups in different parts of the country that will also be staging their own protest rallies.
Ayun, yes, sir.
And then, as I understand it, there will be other Filipino groups abroad
Yes, sir.
that will be doing this. So, I like the idea of unity in diversity, and then showing the world that there are many Filipino communities that are very much against what China is doing.
Yes, sir.
Because this is so important in information warfare.
Yes, sir.
Wherever the Filipinos are, their host countries will get to know what China is doing
Yes, sir.
by virtue of what they're doing, what they're saying.
Ayun. And therefore, the West Philippine Sea issue should be and must really be an issue sa election na ito. It should be an election issue.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. National security must be an issue.
Yes, sir.
But when we talk of national security, hindi lang yung external defense requirements or internal security, which are very, very important.
Yes, sir.
Because that's central to our safety and security. But we should also focus on economic security.
Yes, sir.
We should focus on energy security, food security, all the elements that add up to human security, including and most especially ecological security. Because at the rate we've been raping our environment,
Yes, sir.
we've actually mortgaged the future of the next generations.
Ayun. Maraming salamat po sa ating naging panel si kagalang-galang Secretary Rafael Alunan at muli sa ngalan Mr. Public Service, Kuya Daniel Razon. Ako po inyong lingkod, George Erwin Garcia, dito sa programang Bawal ang Pikon, Get It Straight with Daniel Razon.